I would never actually do this, like ever. But I think it's really important for people to see how words actually affect people, because it's really fucked up.
Nicole Kidman just witnessed Blake Lively orchestrating the most deliberate and cold-hearted sabotage against Sydney Sweeney, executing her plan with precision and calculation. But Sydney didn't back down. She stood her ground and refused to sign the NDA. That single, quiet decision ended up shaking the entire industry to its core, creating a ripple effect that no one could have predicted.
Euphoria star Sydney Sweeney broke down in tears on an emotional live stream.
What came next wasn't just drama. It was the quiet, ruthless replacement orchestrated by Blake, a move that was executed with a level of intensity and precision that left no room for any opposition.
Why is this happening?
Let's take a moment to talk about March 2024. Yes, that dinner. The one that appeared at first glance to be nothing more than a casual girl boss gathering. But in reality, it was a high-stakes, behind-the-scenes emergency intervention, cleverly disguised under the soft glow of candlelight. Picture this: Reese Witherspoon, Nicole Kidman, and Sydney Sweeney all seated around a single table in Brentwood. No photographers, no PR fluff, no Instagram hashtags. Just one blurry photo that somehow leaked from a casting assistant's private story. And Sydney, bless her heart, seemed to genuinely believe this was a big moment. She thought it was the "I've made it" dinner. But in truth, it wasn't that at all. It was a full-blown rescue mission.
I've noticed that they will do anything and everything to be famous.
Sydney was sitting there, all nervous and full of gratitude, probably thinking, wow, I finally made it to the room. Little did she know, the only reason she was in that room was because of someone powerful. Someone blonde, suspiciously fixated on faux feminism, and allergic to letting other women succeed, all while keeping her target firmly in the crosshairs. That someone was Blake Lively. And, of course, the universe decided to tip off Reese before anyone else. Just a mere 8 hours before the dinner, Reese received a cryptic call. Not from a producer, not a friend, but from a brand partner. Translation: these were people with money and power. The message was brief, cold, and clinical. Blake's people are circling Sydney. That was it. No extra details, no fluff, just a stark warning of PR warfare in motion. Seriously, is there any major female figure in the industry that Lively and Reynolds haven't tried to tear down? Now, let me tell you, this isn't Reese and Nicole's first time dealing with Miss Blake. Let me piggyback your career, Lively. Oh no, they've been through this routine before. It's the Blake Lively classic. She latches onto a younger, rising actress, makes it look like a perfect sisterhood, and parades it around in the media like they're part of some sort of glam, girl power club. But then, boom, the narrative starts to shift. The spotlight gradually pivots back to Blake, while the other girl quietly fades into the background. It's like she's running her own personal Hunger Games of attention, with her Instagram grid serving as the capital.
I spent enough time with this family to speak about personal relationships and who they really are, how Blake Lively is displayed today in the media as a diva and someone who just tried to steal this movie and so on. All of that is true. That's Lively.
So, Reese does what any seasoned Hollywood queen would do. She doesn't lose her cool. She doesn't start screaming into her Hermes bag. Instead, she calmly picks up the phone and calls Nicole. Because when you sense a storm brewing, the smart move is to reach out to the other battle-hardened survivor. And between the two of them, yeah, they've survived enough PR hurricanes to know exactly what to do. Now, here's the most savage line of the entire night. Reese leans in and tells Sydney, if Blake's team reaches out, smile, be polite, then forward it to me. Don't run, don't ignore, don't block and delete. No, Reese wasn't going to let Sydney play by those rules. Reese knew exactly what game they were playing. The message was clear. Let Blake tie herself up in her own fake feminist web and watch her hang herself.
Crazy character journey for her and for all the other characters, and I absolutely wanted to dive into it.
And just like clockwork, Blake didn't even wait 3 days before making her move. I mean, seriously, does she ever sleep? Less than 72 hours later, a pitch deck lands in the inbox of a streaming development executive. And I'm not talking about just any deck. This one's a full-gloss, fancy font, studio-grade presentation. Surprise! It's a limited series with 2 female leads starring Sydney Sweeney, written by Blake Lively's team. And what do you know? No mention of Reese, no mention of Nicole. It's like they were allergic to real talent. Blake pulled the oldest PR trick in the book. Attach yourself first, deal with the paperwork later. She doesn't wait for approval. She waits for people to find out after the news has already started circulating. You know, just typical girl boss things. Blake's team is so fast, it's almost terrifying. This project wasn't even on the table 2 weeks ago, and now she's got pitch decks circulating with Sydney's name already attached. Sydney was blindsided. She texts Reese immediately, and I mean immediately, saying, "I didn't sign anything. I don't even know what this is." Let that sink in. The lead actress of the supposed series didn't even know it existed. Meanwhile, Blake was already feeding the story to the media like it was the next Big Little Lies, just without the talent, direction, or actual consent. Internal memos from the streamer started floating around, and guess whose name was plastered all over them as the supposed lead? Yep, Blake. And guess whose name was conveniently missing? Sydney's. What do we call that? Classic erasure, wrapped in a smug smirk, and then dressed up with a carefully curated pastel Instagram filter.
Everybody always praised for how beautiful she is, how ideal looking she is, was brought to tears by so many people on Twitter.
Then came the press seating. You know how it goes. Unnamed sources whispering to Deadline, Variety, and all the usual players. Suddenly, there's talk of a prestige female-led drama being developed by Blake Lively, starring an unnamed Gen Z actress. Oh please. We all know that's just code for, I'm hijacking this girl's career before she even realizes it. Nicole and Reese were supposed to appear together on Variety's Women in Power panel the following week, but that whole thing just evaporated. Blake's project leaked 3 days ago. Coincidence? I think not. But here's the thing, Reese and Nicole didn't go on the warpath. Oh no, they didn't explode. Instead, they went cold. And let me tell you, nothing in Hollywood sends a stronger message than cold silence from women who actually hold real power. Instead of rushing in with questions or demands, they decided to let the clock tick. We control the next 90 days, Nicole said. And when those two decide to play the long game, oh, honey, it's over before you've even put your heels on. Word is, Reese and Nicole had already been plotting something with Sydney before Blake swooped in. Can't deny it, this definitely feels like a preemptive strike. One of the first moves, quietly pulling out of the Variety Women in Power panel, which was supposed to feature Nicole, Reese, and a group of unnamed female creators. That whole event, poof, gone. Disappeared from Variety's site without a single word. No explanation, no cancellation notice. It just ceased to exist. Funny how all of that happened just 3 days after Blake's pitch leaked. And Nicole? Nicole didn't post a single thing. Not a denial, not a quote, not even a blurry cryptic boomerang. She said nothing because when you've already won, there's nothing left to say. Blake thought she was playing chess, but what she didn't realize is that Reese and Nicole were playing Jenga, pulling pieces out from beneath her meticulously built empire, until the whole thing came crashing down on itself, without anyone needing to raise their voice. And Sydney? She just sat still, because sometimes the best way to burn someone in Hollywood isn't to light a match. It's to stop clapping. Now, if you're wondering whether Blake saw it coming, let me give you a hint. She posted a behind-the-scenes studio clip, desperately trying to pretend she was still working. Caption: "It's not about the noise, it's about the work." But guess what? No one cared. No one liked it. No one shared it. Not a single person tagged her back. Even the bots were over it. So, yeah, keep pretending it's all about women supporting women. Blake, just don't act surprised when the only woman you end up supporting is yourself, and yourself alone. By April 2020, the industry didn't exactly cancel Blake Lively. No, they just started pretending she didn't exist. It all began with a whisper, as these things often do, deep inside the Slack channels of Blake's own fashion partners. Not from gossip blogs, not from angry Twitter mobs, her own stylists. That's how low the respect meter had dropped. One leaked internal message said it all. Pull her visibility. No retweets, no reposts, no branded handholding, nothing. Just silence. And you know what's even colder than being dropped? Being erased so quietly that your own reflection forgets your name. While Blake was out here posting sad, behind-the-scenes thirst traps, Nicole was playing 5D chess with Apple TV+. Because behind Blake's back, way behind it, Nicole pitched a nearly identical concept to the one Blake had tried to push with Sydney. The only difference? This one had actual paperwork, real production meetings, and none of Blake's thirsty interference. Sydney got top billing. Reese's company was seamlessly integrated into the back-end notes, as if it had been there from day one. Because, well, it had. Blake was never in the room to begin with. And now, she was locked out of the building. Sources say Reese Witherspoon pulled 3 meetings that had been scheduled to involve Blake's new project. She wasn't playing silent, she was playing long. And then came the quietest mic drop in Hollywood history. Apple TV Plus updated its Q3 internal preview slate. No press release, no flashy quote, just a quietly leaked screenshot of the lineup. And there it was. Nicole, Sydney, Reese. Project name, Inheritance. And the reaction inside the industry? Straight chaos. Assistants started demaying each other, asking, "Why isn't this Blake's project?" And the answer was brutal. No. Blake had never been officially attached to anything except her own imagination. Naturally, Blake's team went into panic mode. They called Apple, but Apple didn't even pick up the phone. "No, we're unavailable. No, we'll get back to you." Just cold, bone-dry silence. So, they tried another route. One of Blake's shared stylists, who had worked with both her and Nicole. Maybe they could get some intel. But that stylist ignored them too. And that's when it hit. Blake hadn't just lost a project. She'd been outmaneuvered, outclassed, and outcast. This wasn't sabotage, it was strategic exclusion. Nobody had blocked her. They just built the future without her in it. And then, Sydney and Nicole started doing what Blake had always feared. Winning without her. A costume designer posted what seemed like an innocent Instagram story. It was deleted fast, but not fast enough. There, sitting on a shelf, was a script, and 2 names were clearly visible, Nicole Kidman and Sydney Sweeney. The title? Inheritance. Cue the Meltdown. Twitter, and particularly film Twitter, which is somehow worse, lost its collective mind. Comments started flying. "Bro, Blake's not even in this." "Wait, is this the project she tried to hijack?" Yes, it is. And now it belonged to the people who actually earned it. Then, an old pitch deck from 2023 mysteriously leaked. The receipts were crystal clear. Nicole and Reese had been working on this long before Blake even knew Sydney existed. Which meant Blake's fake girl boss takeover was exactly that. Fake. A PR delusion. A pretend power grab built on nothing but hot air. And with that leak, Blake's entire narrative crumbled faster than her Instagram engagement. .so. What did her PR team do? They tried to spin hard. Issued a few polite sound bites. Blake is prioritizing creative direction over visibility. Sydney is a dear friend. Yawn. That's PR for, please don't ask about the receipts. We're dying here. But here's the kicker. Only one journalist even bothered to reply. And their answer? Brutal. This wasn't a damage control piece. Blake's moment was simply over. You could almost hear Blake's publicist sobbing from across the continent. And then came the kill shot. April 14th, 2020. No teaser, no press junket, no fake brunch photos with curated feminist captions. Just one quiet upload on the Apple TV Plus press site. Inheritance, starring Nicole Kidman, featuring Sydney Sweeney. Executive produced by Reese Witherspoon. No Blake. Not even a special thanks, just a complete, surgical erasure. You want to know how savage that is? Hollywood didn't just take her off the guest list. They rebuilt the house, rewrote the script, and then acted like she never even knocked on the door in the first place. This wasn't a fall from grace. It was a quiet burial, with no funeral. And honestly, she earned it. Because you can't keep dressing manipulation and pastel Instagram filters up as empowerment. Eventually, people start noticing. Eventually, the glam squad stops showing up. Eventually, Apple TV Plus stops picking up your calls. And eventually, even the algorithm decides you're boring. Did you all notice how Blake's new promo didn't get reposted by anyone? Not even the glam team. That's not just PR fatigue, that's a message. Blake wasn't pushed out. She wasn't sabotaged. No, she was simply outgrown by better actresses, smarter producers, and women who actually support other women instead of pretending to do so on social media. In a world where silence cuts deeper than any words, Nicole, Reese, and Sydney didn't scream or make a scene. They simply let Blake post herself into oblivion. Blake showed up on that red carpet in April as if it was still 2016. Dress steamed, hair curled, smile perfectly in place. She was flawlessly lit, perfectly poised, and perfectly ignored. Not a single repost from the glam team. No styled by tags, no brand mentions. Not even a pity comment from a makeup intern. It was like watching a deleted scene walking the carpet. Technically present, but emotionally erased. And the worst part? She didn't even realize it yet, because just 3 days later, Apple TV Plus dropped the official trailer for Inheritance. And it hit like a wrecking ball to her ego. Nicole and Sydney, equal billing, cinematic gold. Reese listed as executive producer, like a silent assassin. And Blake, gone. Not blurred, not downgraded, just gone. The trailer caption read, "What's inherited isn't always wanted. Oh, subtlety may be dead, but I'm here for it." That one line spoke volumes, saying more than Blake's entire 300-post feminist scrapbook ever could. Fans immediately caught on. Is this about Blake? Did she just get erased on record? Yes. Yes, she did. This wasn't just PR neglect. This was strategic omission. And every frame of that trailer screamed, we built something better without her. Meanwhile, Blake was still desperately trying to squeeze engagement out of an Instagram selfie. Girl, it's time to pack it up. The algorithm had already moved on. The public began speculating. Did she overhear something? Was she jealous? We may never know. But a few brave souls started asking what we were all thinking. What happened to her? One gossip podcast got bold enough to ask one of her former PR allies to spill the truth. And spill he did. His quote went viral in under 4 hours. She built an image, but you can't control the weather, which was a poetic way of saying she played herself. And just like that, Blake went from headlining red carpets to being studied in PR classes under the unit titled When Soft Girl Aesthetic Becomes Weaponized Narcissism. But while Blake was spiraling into Pinterest purgatory, Sydney Sweeney was quietly writing the playbook on how to win without saying a single word. And Blake? Oh, she couldn't handle it. Somewhere in April, Sydney received a charming little go-away package from Blake's PR team. A hush-money deal dressed up as a friendly offer. A one-time payout, an 18-month NDA, and complete silence. Cute, right? And how did Sydney respond? With the most savage move she could have made. She asked one simple question. Did Blake send this? The PR rep just smiled. One of those smiles you give when you know the house of cards is about to collapse. Sydney didn't scream. She didn't post a notes app monologue. She just didn't sign. That refusal set the internet on fire. Reddit, TikTok, Instagram. She didn't sign hit 2.2 million mentions in just a few days. Deleted trailers resurfaced. Fan edits went viral. The same media Blake had once manipulated into submission was now obsessing over every frame that had once included Sydney, and mysteriously didn't anymore. This wasn't a comeback. It was a resurrection, and Sydney didn't even have to tweet a single word. Then came the Beverly Hills moment. The photo. Sydney, barefaced, wearing sunglasses, sitting across from Reese Witherspoon. No glam squad, no publicist, no paparazzi alert, just two women talking. And that blurry image? It shattered the internet, because anyone with half a brain knew exactly what that was. It wasn't just lunch, it was the blueprint. Within 24 hours, 3 separate casting trackers flagged a new Apple TV Plus limited series in pre-production. Nicole producing, Reese directing, Sydney leading. And no, Blake didn't even make the rumor list.so. What did Blake do? She clapped back in the most tired, cliché way possible. Cryptic Instagram captions over sun-drenched wine glasses. Some people chase truth. Others sell it. Like, girl, what is this? A breakup quote from 201 Tumblr? Nobody cared. The comments weren't sympathetic. They were clinical. She didn't sign. Is this about Sydney? Stop. Even her fan base was exhausted. When your own carefully curated aesthetic starts working against you, maybe it's time to log off. There's one thing evil people can't accept, nor do they ever want to see. The truth. They'll do anything to cover it up. And then came the real humiliation. April 29th, 2020. Glass Chapel, the Netflix film Blake had tried so hard to attach a brand to, quietly dropped out of the top 10. No final press wave, no blooper reels, just silence. Even with Ryan Reynolds doing the usual press tap dance, the numbers flatlined. Why? Because fan edits featuring Sydney's clips, those Netflix had tried to erase, were outperforming the official trailer in terms of engagement. That's what happens when you try to cut out the woman people actually care about and replace her with beige wallpaper and a brand deal.
Ryan Reynolds confessing to Blake Lively being his beard was definitely not on my bingo card.
Meanwhile, Ryan's next movie hit a financial wall. 2 investors dropped out. The reason? A leaked quote from a PR call. There's a perception issue. It's becoming sticky. Translation. You tried to ghost the wrong girl, and now the ghosts are haunting your bottom line. That's what happens when you play whisper games in first class. As for Blake's big redemption arc, she had a whole PR-crafted interview scheduled for April 30th. Flattering lighting, pre-screened questions, and a comeback quote headline probably stolen straight from Goop. But guess what? She bailed. We're choosing to move forward in silence. That's not a strategy, that's surrender. And the real kicker? The editor she ghosted published the piece anyway, without her. And it read like a eulogy. Not for her career, no, that's still clinging to the edge of a Dior gift bag, but for her relevance. Which, honestly, is pretty much the same thing. While all this was happening, Sydney was already back to work. Not in LA, not on a studio lot, but in rural North Carolina, shooting an indie drama produced by Nicole and funded by Reese. Premise: a woman quietly rebuilding after an invisible war. Could you write a better burn? Oh wait, there was no screaming, no lawsuits, no explosive exposés. Just Blake's name quietly disappearing from press kits, while Sydney's name was gently penciled in. The internet didn't cancel Blake. They simply outgrew her. No hashtags, no trending Twitter fights, just silence. The kind that makes people panic. The kind that says, you're not the villain. You're just not the story anymore. And Blake, she faded.